Hello and welcome to KG Graves, the new one-on-one series where I focus on just one celebrity. Please like, subscribe and hit the bell for more content like this. Thank you to those of you who have already subscribed. This is number 26, Winston Churchill, at St Martin's Churchyard in Bladon, Oxfordshire. Before I start, I just want to say that this video could have been hours long due to so much history of Winston, so I've had to really cut it down to the main facts. I hope this is still interesting enough for you. Winston Leonard Spencer Churchill was born on the 30th of November 1874 in Blenheim Palace, Oxfordshire, England. He was a British statesman, soldier and writer who served as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom from 1940 to 1945 during the Second World War and again from 1951 to 1955. He began boarding at St George's School in Ascot, Berkshire at age 7, but was not academic and his behaviour was poor. In 1884 he transferred to Brunswick School in Hove, where his academic performance improved. In April 1888, aged 13, he narrowly passed the entrance exam for Harrow School. His father wanted him to prepare for a military career, and so his last 3 years at Harrow were in the army form. After 2 unsuccessful attempts to gain admittance to the Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst, he succeeded on his 3rd. He was accepted as a cadet in the cavalry, starting in September 1893. His father died in January 1895, a month after he graduated from Sandhurst. He joined the British Army in 1895 and saw action in British India, the Anglo-Sudan War and the Second Boer War, gaining fame as a war correspondent and writing books about his campaigns. Elected a Conservative MP in 1900, he defected to the Liberals in 1904. Winston married Clementine Hosier in September 1908. Their daughter Diana was born in July 1909, a son Randolph in May 1911, Sarah in October 1914, and Marigold in 1918, but she sadly died in August 1921 from sepsis of the throat. Their 5th and final child, Mary, was born in September 1922. Winston and Clementine were married for 57 years. As First Lord of the Admiralty during the First World War, he oversaw the Gallipoli campaign, but after it proved a disaster, he was demoted to Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster. He resigned in November 1915 and joined the Royal Scots Fusiliers on the Western Front for 6 months. After 2 years out of Parliament, he served as Chancellor of the Exchequer in Stanley Baldwin's Conservative government. At the outbreak of the Second World War, he was reappointed First Lord of the Admiralty. In May 1940, he became Prime Minister, replacing Neville Chamberlain. Winston formed a national government and oversaw British involvement in the Allied war against the Axis powers, resulting in victory in 1945. During the D-Day Allied invasion of Normandy, Winston was determined to be actively involved in the Normandy invasion and hoped to cross the Channel on D-Day itself, 6th of June 1944, or at least on D-Day +1. His desire caused unnecessary consternation at Chafe, Supreme Headquarters Allied Expeditionary Force, until he was effectively vetoed by the King, who told him that, as head of all 3 services, he, the King, ought to go too. Winston expected an Allied death toll of 20,000 on D-Day, but he was proven to be pessimistic because less than 8,000 died in the whole of June. He made his first visit to Normandy on the 12th of June to visit Montgomery, whose HQ was then about 5 miles inland. That evening he was returning to London. The first V-1 flying bombs were launched. In a longer visit to Normandy, from the 22nd to the 23rd of July, he went to Cherbourg and Arromanches, where he saw the Mulberry Arbour. On the 7th of May 1945, at the Scharfe headquarters in Reims, the Allies accepted Germany's surrender. The next day was Victory in Europe Day, VE Day, when Winston broadcast to the nation that Germany had surrendered and that a final ceasefire on all fronts in Europe would come into effect at 1 minute past midnight that night on the 9th of May. Afterwards he went to Buckingham Palace, where he appeared on the balcony with the royal family before a huge crowd of celebrating citizens. He went from the palace to Whitehall, where he addressed another large crowd, saying, "God bless you all. This is your victory. In our long history we have never seen a greater day than this. Everyone, man or woman, has done their best." At this point he asked Ernest Bevin to come forward and share the applause. Bevin said, "No, Winston, this is your day," and proceeded to conduct the people in the singing of the song, "For He's a Jolly Good Fellow." In the evening, Winston made another broadcast to the nation, stating that the defeat of Japan would follow in the coming months. The Japanese surrendered on the 15th of August 1945. After the Conservatives' defeat in 1945 general election, he became leader of the opposition. Amid the developing Cold War with the Soviet Union, he publicly warned of an Iron Curtain of Soviet influence in Europe and promoted European unity. He lost the 1950 election, but was returned to office in 1951. His second term was preoccupied with foreign affairs, especially Anglo-American relations and the preservation of the British Empire. Domestically, his government emphasised house building and completed the development of a nuclear weapon. Winston was nearly 77 when he took office and was not in good health following several minor strokes. By December, George VI had become concerned about Winston's decline and intended asking him to stand down in favour of Eden, but the king had his own serious health issues and died on the 6th of February without making the request. Winston developed a close friendship with Elizabeth II, and in the spring of 1953 accepted the Order of the Garter at her request. He was knighted as Sir Winston on the 24th of April 1953. It was widely expected that he would retire after the Queen's coronation in June 1953, but after Eden became seriously ill, he increased his own responsibilities by taking over the Foreign Office. Eden was incapacitated until the end of the year and was never completely well again. On the evening of the 23rd of June 1953, he suffered a serious stroke and became partially paralysed down one side. Had Eden been well, Winston's premiership would most likely be over. The matter was kept secret, and he went home to Chartwell to recuperate. He had fully recovered by November. As a writer, he was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1953. He then retired as Prime Minister in April 1955 and was succeeded by Eden. He remained an MP until 1964. Winston suffered a final stroke on the 12th of January 1965 and died 12 days later on the 24th. This was the 70th anniversary of his father's death. He was given a state funeral. His coffin lay in state at Westminster Hall for 3 days, and the funeral ceremony was at St. Paul's Cathedral on the 30th of January. Afterwards, the coffin was taken by boat along the River Thames to Waterloo Station, and from there by a special train to the family plot at St. Martin's Church, Bladon. Let's see where his grave is located. So there you have it, the grave of Sir Winston Churchill, British Prime Minister. If you have enjoyed watching this video, then please like, subscribe and hit the bell for more content like this. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.